And we are live. Welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast. You are joined by Parker and
Aaliyah.
And if you're new to the Content Swap Podcast, this is a podcast in which we assign each other a piece of content, engage with it for the week, reconvene on this podcast, talk about our thoughts, and then assign another piece of content. And so the cycle continues on and on and on and on. Before we get started on this week's pieces of content, we like to provide a little life news update on things that have been going on. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. That song was in the movie I gave this week.
Was it?
It was.
It was all a blur.
Yeah, we like to provide a little life news update. It's been a pretty irregular schedule here at the Content Swap Podcast because the Oscars happened. We did a bonus episode. We're going out of town. It's just been a busy time. So we were recording this on a Thursday. I don't think we've ever recorded on a Thursday. God knows when this is going to get uploaded. Is it going to be uploaded on Tuesday of next week? Is it going to get uploaded tomorrow on Friday? Who knows? Find out with us. Before we dive in, let's do the life news updates. So I will let you go first.
I don't think I have much of an update. I haven't done anything. Yeah, I don't think I've engaged with anything new. I watched some HGTV today, which was unlike me, but it did kind of make me want to design my dream house, you know? So I've been playing around in Procreate, making little collages and stuff because I was bored and I'm avoiding actual work. But yeah, other than that, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Bummer.
That's okay. I don't really have much either.
Yeah.
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have much of anything either. The Oscars happened. There's that. We did do, our Oscars prediction episode, and we have since found out that, Oppenheimer won, Emma Stone somehow won, huge upsets and things like that. I think we talked about on the podcast last time during that bonus episode that whoever got the most predictions correct, the other person was going to have to go to whatever movie they wanted, something like that.
Yeah.
And out of 23 categories, we both got 12 predictions correct.
Yeah.
So we both have to go to a movie.
I was winning for a while.
That's true, you were.
But towards the tail end, you got me.
Yeah, I did.
With the biggest categories.
I think you're picking the zone of interest for best original screenplay or adapted screenplay. Anatomy of a Fall. Thank you. It's all the same.
It's not.
I know it's not. It's just these names, It's not. Great movies. The win for Anatomy of a Fall. I did not expect that at all. So good job.
I knew it.
Good job.
Yay.
So aside from that, I'm still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Been playing a bit more this week, and it's a great game. I love everything about it. It's got so many mini games and things in it that there's a card game in this game called Queen's Blood, and I am just obsessed with it. Every time there's an opportunity to play Queen's Blood, I'm like, yo, we gotta play some Queen's Blood right now. And it's like, wait, I'm playing Final Fantasy. It's a completely different game within a game. So it's a great game. I'm in love with it. It's the best, and I am here for these RPGs that just have tons of mini games inside of them. There's just something about that I am just loving so much. Like a Dragon did it, Final Fantasy's doing it, and it just breaks up the monotony so much. And it's like you could just dive in so much into these little mini games, and it's the best. You're getting so much for your money. So yeah, very, very happy with that experience. And otherwise, not really, kind of just behind on everything else. So
yeah. Also, I take it back. I have been back into reading, which has been really exciting.
Oh, hey, same.
Yeah. I recently, audiobooks have been my best friend lately, even though I used to hate them. Now they're kind of helpful for little rom-coms that I want to read. Because you don't have to pay too much attention to fill in the blanks if you don't listen for a few minutes. So I finished a rom-com audiobook called, I think it was called Icebreakers. It was very long, unnecessarily long for rom-com. I was like, why is this continuing? But very spicy, which was great. And then I also finished Black Friend Essays by Z-Way. If you all are familiar with Z-Way, have watched her show. She's super funny, super great, calls out problematic behaviors from various different people. And her book was fantastic. I highly, I don't really like autobiographies. And I feel like hers, it's an autobiography, but it's slightly different. I absolutely, it's probably one of my favorites. It might be one of my favorite books just in general.
Wow.
I said one of my favorites. It's not my top favorite book, but it was really good.
It's kind of surprising to hear because it feels like you were reading it for a
Forever.
very long time.
I know. I honestly, though, I was kind of savoring it. Like, I liked just like reading an essay, picking it up, reading an essay and being like, wow, that was great. And kind of pondering on that essay. And then the next time, I had a little bit of a moment, pick it up again, read another essay. I kind of liked doing that. So yeah, it was nice. But I recently started a book called, and I'm going to butcher this. Actually, I'm going to ask you how you pronounce this name. How do you pronounce that?
Oh, jeez. Welcome to the Hunam Dong Bookshop.
Yes, that. That's the book I'm currently reading. It's quite interesting in the way that it's written. So it was translated. It's a Korean author, so I'm assuming it was in Korean and then it got translated into English. And it feels like a very like wholesome kind of slice of life kind of book. But it's about just this woman who runs a bookshop. But the main character has these like existential rants. And I'm like, okay, sure. But I'm like, is this going to be the whole book? Because like it feels,
I don't like that.
It feels like it's trying to make a deeper point, but the story's so simplistic and I love the simplicity of it that it feels misplaced. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it right now. It's interesting. I mean, some of those existential rants had me thinking a little bit and I'm like, I don't know. But sometimes they lose me a bit. So we'll see. Well,
nice.
That was actually a lot.
I don't remember if I said on the podcast that I finished Chain Gang All Stars, but I did finish Chain Gang All Stars, and that has just like shaped my reading, my perception of reading, I guess, because that book was so overwritten with like almost an annoying amount of an annoying amount of detail in some parts, like just unnecessary. Like, what are you doing with the time that you have?
Yeah.
So hearing that you're reading a book where a character might be having like unnecessary existential breakdowns. I
don't want to say it's unnecessary because I think it is central to this main character's personality.
Existential breakdowns that are fake deep. That's what it sounds like.
I don't even know that I want to say it's fake deep, to be honest. I think the point is that the character has had some bad experiences and is kind of owning this bookstore to find herself again. And she loves literature. So it makes sense for her to kind of go on these rants. But like, do I care?
Well, then it's unnecessary.
But it's not unnecessary because it makes sense for the character. Like, it makes sense for the character and it makes sense for who she is.
Well, who wrote the character? The author did. The author is the one also choosing to do these things.
Yeah.
And if you as a reader don't care, then my critique would be it's unnecessary. Cut it out.
I guess. I don't know. But we'll see where it takes me. I'm very early into the book. And like I said, I am still, despite the rants, I'm still enjoying the book.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yep.
While we were gone last weekend, I read Tom Segura's book. Honestly, I do not remember the name of it.
You read the whole thing?
Yeah. Oh.
No way.
What?
When?
On the flights. It's a really short book. It's like 220 pages. And it reads like a... so it's Tom Segura is a stand-up comedian. And the book is just... Each chapter is basically just like a long essay of him just talking about something. Honestly, it reads like a stand-up comedy special in book form, which made it super easy to read, especially after I just read Chain Gang All-Stars, which was like the toughest read I've ever had in my entire life. Reading a stand-up comedian's like book that is just the funniest thing I've ever read was like the best experience because he's just talking about the funniest things. So if you're a big fan of his comedy or fan of his comedy at all, or just a fan of comedy, I totally recommend his book. It's hilarious. You're not going to gain any new insights into life. You're just going to be entertained while reading. So I needed that so bad. Yeah. So I appreciated it quite a bit. Shouts out to Tom Segura. And then I started this book called MCU, which is literally just it's a nonfiction book that is just the most ambitious attempt at chronicling the rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Hollywood, and it goes all the way back to like what was going on with Marvel in the 90s and like what was happening with their money, and basically like trying to really plot out the map of what exactly led to all of the decisions that got made with like Kevin Feige getting hired, and from deciding like, hey, we want to do a diverse thing and not just have all the white superheroes out there. It really kind of maps out all of it, and it's really interesting. It's also really long, but it's easy to read, and I'm all about that right now. So, I'm excited to read more of that.
So they had mapped out having the more diverse superheroes way back then?
No.
My point is that's what we started out with, nothing but white superheroes. I'm very confused.
That is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like the people who started to own Marvel in the 90s and continue to own it up until like even after Disney bought it, like they still had some say. Those people specifically wanted to market like white actors, like the white men superheroes, because they thought that was what was going to make the most money. And Kevin Feige, around when they made the Avengers, was saying, no, I don't want to do that. And he started to like really fight, saying like, we need to have like female superheroes, we need to have Black Panther, we need to have just like more diversity. And they were like, nobody wants to buy that. But then and Kevin Feige was literally telling people like, either this goes my way or like you guys aren't going to see me anymore.
Who is Kevin Feige? Was he just some random dude
producer
who was like
extraordinaire?
No, I know who Kevin Feige is, but I'm like, where did he come from?
He started working at Marvel in I think in like 2001, something like that.
When you say working for Marvel, working for Disney's Marvel, or like working for
Disney's Marvel didn't exist. Disney's Marvel didn't exist till 2009. So if he started in 2001, obviously it's not Disney's Marvel.
Well, I don't know when Disney Marvel started.
Okay,
that's why I'm asking.
Gotcha.
Give me attitude.
Okay. Yeah, we're asking a lot of dumb questions.
They're not dumb questions. I don't know anything about Marvel.
Okay, my bad.
So that's why I'm asking. What do you mean by worked for Marvel? Because the comic books have been around for years.
If you go watch Spider-Man 2, Kevin Feige's name is in the opening credits as a producer.
Like Tobey Maguire's?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like Kevin Feige's been around since then.
Gotcha.
Specifically on the Marvel movie making front.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I needed clarity on. Was he
I apologize.
making decisions with the comics, and then he's transitioned
I don't think he
movies,
I think he was just a big comics fan for a long time. I think he was just working his way up in Hollywood. I think like when he was 30, he got this job at Marvel, and then become, or even before, I think he might have been in his 20s when he got that job. And then, because I think when the Avengers came out, he was like 38.
So wait.
Which is really young for him to have as much pull as he did at that time.
Yeah.
And now he's like the chief creative officer. I don't know if it's chief creative officer, but he's like the head of creative as of like 2021 or something like that.
I get confused as to like who owns Marvel content, because like if you go to
Disney.
No. Babe. Can I get through?
All right.
My talk?
Continue.
Because like you go to Universal Studios in Florida and there's Marvel things, but
Okay,
then Sony has Spider-Man, but then Disney has
it's
everything else.
Okay, it's complicated. So I mean, this is
it's not
part
as
of
simple as just
okay,
Disney.
all right. This is part of the stuff that gets kind of talked about in the books, because they had to, in order to keep the company afloat, they had to like give Spider-Man to Sony. Because Marvel itself was not doing very well, because comic book shops started to really shut down in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like their main distribution platform, was through comic book shops.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to kind of help keep the company afloat, they had to sell off the rights to characters like Spider-Man or the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, like in Fantastic Four, arguably like the biggest characters that existed at the time, because the Avengers were kind of like B-level heroes in the Marvel universe at the time. But yeah, Disney bought Marvel, but they didn't have the film rights to X-Men and the Fantastic Four and what's it called, Spider-Man, that guy. And they've slowly, steadily kind of had to like, they built it up without those things and then incorporated them once they got the rights back, after they created, a mega corporation of movie making.
So Hulk was sold to Universal?
Okay, so the Universal, the Hulk thing, the Universal still owns the rights to Marvel characters in theme parks east of the Mississippi.
Wow, that's so specific.
It's oddly specific, yes. But that's why when you go to Universal Studios in Florida, they have a Hulk ride, they have a Spider-Man ride.
Yeah.
But then when you go to Disneyland in California, they've got, Spider-Man Web Shooters extravaganza or whatever.
In Florida also has.
No, they don't.
They don't have a Spider?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They don't.
Yeah, they just have Guardians.
Oh, wait, they have...
Epcot has Guardians.
Oh, you're right. Okay, but I think it's just Spider-Man and the Hulk.
Okay.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you.
I mean, I think especially the Hulk.
I don't think we've been to the theme park where they have Marvel stuff. They do have a Marvel section. It's at, I think, Hollywood Studios. We haven't been there.
Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha.
So I don't know what they have
Okay.
there. Or
I think it's like most specifically, it's the Hulk. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Wow. You give me
It's
attitude
just a
about
mess.
these questions. And
Okay,
they were good
my
questions.
Bad. My bad. Apparently they were. I apologize.
I will shut this podcast down.
I didn't know that you weren't aware that Disney bought Marvel in 2009.
No, I don't pay attention to Marvel.
All right,
Not
anyway.
like that.
Well, whatever. When do you think Disney bought Star Wars?
Star Wars? Did they not? Oh, I guess they didn't own Star Wars from the jump.
Oh, well, that answers my question. But all right, give me a guess.
Well, did they own it from the start?
Just give me a guess.
I don't even know when Star Wars came out. Was that in the 90s or the 80s?
The original Star Wars, the first episode 4, A New Hope, came out in 1977.
Wow, that mess is old.
Yep.
Looks
And
pretty
back
good.
then, it was not owned by Disney. All right, I'll tell you that. So, knowing that, when would you guess Disney bought Star Wars?
Probably. Well, they probably. When did what did Force Awakens come out?
2015.
I'm gonna guess 2012.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Wow, look at me. I'm so
It
smart.
was either 2012 or 2013. Let's see. It was October 30th, 2012.
Wow.
Good job. All right, cool. Well, Anyway, that's a good book. Go check it out. It's called MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios by Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and Gavin Edwards. It's a pretty interesting book, and it's pretty beefy, and I'm excited to keep reading it. Other than that, you gave me this horror book that you wanted me to read called The Shadows by Alex North, which is a great author name. But I gotta say, I started it yesterday, and I don't get it. I can't.
Just wait. You gotta keep reading.
I can't follow it. I don't
What do you
remember it. I
mean?
read like 3 chapters. I do not
First
remember
of all,
anything.
no. Because you were on your phone the whole time.
Okay,
Every
I don't
2
wanna-
seconds you
I don't
picked
wanna
up
talk
your
about that.
phone.
I was
That's
having-
why you didn't follow it. You
I
weren't
was-
even trying.
I was having an important conversation with my buddies.
Okay. But don't say it doesn't make sense when you just weren't paying attention.
No, okay, fine.
Obviously it doesn't make
I
sense.
just gotta say, like, everything that I've read of that book, I have to start over.
Yes. Please do. Start over and give it the attention it deserves. Because it gets crazy.
All right.
And I want to know, you asked for a horror book the other day when we were in the bookstore, and I was like, that immediately came to mind because it's a book that gave me nightmares, and I am very curious to see if you find it scary.
I mean, yeah, there was like a part where they find a dead teenager and his arms are bent in a disgusting way. But I was like, that's it? Is that all you got?
You haven't even gotten into the depths of it.
All right. Because, like, let me tell you, I played Alan Wake 2, and that mess had a lot of horror stuff going on.
Okay,
so.
well, you also have to, like, this is going to be different than visual horror because you're
I know,
visually
and that's
seeing
what
it.
I mean, the reason I bring up Alan Wake 2 specifically is because it's about an author, and so it's kind of got that air of like author horror to it. But I'm interested. I'm curious. I want to find out. I'm here for written horror. It's a different thing when you have to visualize it in your own head.
Then give it a chance. I really want to read a Stephen King novel, but I'm kind of scared.
I am not interested. Those books are too long.
They are. They're quite dense.
Yeah,
But yeah.
not into it. Okay, well, anyway, should we get into it?
Yeah.
With the assignments.
Mm-hmm.
Quick disclaimer: we didn't take any notes.
We struggled.
We kind of struggled.
Both of us were about to fall asleep. I actually fell asleep.
We watched your movie. I almost fell asleep watching your movie.
Mm-hmm.
We watched my movie the day after, and you actually fell asleep watching my movie. And I think both experiences are valid.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are childhood cartoons that had movies. And, they just feel like things that are just not meant to be watched 20 years later. They were meant to be watched like the one weekend that it aired and maybe never again,
Yeah. The Proud Family movie I thought was the funniest thing ever. And when we were watching it, I was like, I'm tired. I was like, this wasn't as fun as I rememred it.
So we're supposed to talk about my movie first.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Good
luck. All right, I hand it to you.
I think I saw the first 15 minutes.
That's not true.
No, I saw more than that, but so I was assigned Digimon. Is there more to the title?
The movie.
Digimon the movie. When did it come out?
2001.
2001. And basically, I don't know any of the characters' names, but it follows it starts with this young boy and his little sister. And they're very, very young. And
I apologize. It came out in 2000.
Got you. And basically some weird stuff's happening with the computer, and they find out it's a Digimon egg. And this little creature comes out of the computer and becomes their friend. But they weren't the only people that wasn't the only Digimon who kind of manifested into the world. So there was this big bad Digimon that ended up popping up in their town. All the little kids saw it. Where were the parents? Who knows? How come the parents don't see any of this? I don't know. And basically the little Digimon, I think, defeats the big one. And they're like, woo. But then cut to a few years later, they're a little bit older, and basically there's a bad Digimon that's like terrorizing the internet, like wreaking havoc. I almost said wreaking havoc on all digital platforms. And it's just like, it's basically like a big virus that's just impacting everything that's functioning through the interwebs. And so they need these other Digimon, the good Digimon, who are also in the computer, to stop this bad Digimon. But the bad Digimon keeps getting stronger, so these other Digimon keep having to, two in particular that are, one is the main kids and the other ones is another kid who's his friend. Their Digimon keep evolving every 2 freaking seconds.
It's called Digivolving.
Digivolving, sorry.
Thank you very much.
They keep digivolving every 2 seconds because they're just too weak to defeat this monster who keeps getting stronger. But that's not good enough. They're still losing. And because all these kids are sending in emails being like, what? This is crazy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because all these kids keep spamming the inbox with emails. The computer's running slow and the Digimon are running slow. So they're like, what are we going to do? Everybody's emails are making this run slow. It's so dumb. And so anyway, I don't even know. They harness the power of the emails. They end up forwarding the emails to the bad Digimon. So that the bad Digimon starts running slowly.
Oh, God.
And
it sounds dumb when you put it like that.
Because, like, what is that? They forward the emails to the bad Digimon. So the bad Digimon starts running slowly. And then the 2 good Digimon morph together and defeat the bad Digimon. I thought the movie was going to end there.
Nope.
It keeps going.
There's like 30 more minutes.
And at this point is when I fell asleep. So I know that there's this other kid who has a Digimon, and his Digimon's bad. And I don't know if it's impacting the kid or not. I don't know. I was kind of falling in and out of sleep. And so I'm assuming they basically have to like redo basically do the same thing again with his Digimon because his Digimon's bad.
Oh, yeah, it's so much more complicated to explain than it really needs to be. Basically, how it portrays it in the story is that this kid, Willis, had a Digimon in Colorado. He had 2 Digimon in Colorado, and he's like this smart kid, and he's emailing with Izzy, one of the 2 Digi-destined. It's so stupid when I say it out loud. Which is the equivalent of a Pokemon trainer. He's emailing with one of the 2 guys when the whole internet fiasco is happening. But then like 4 years later, Willis is now older, and the computer virus that Ty and Izzy defeated in the internet ended up taking over one of his Digimon and turning him evil. So now Willis is running around America trying to because he's from Colorado, he's trying to stop his Cocomon. That's his other Digimon. He's got Terriermon, which is not virused, and then he's got Cocomon, who is virused, and they're trying to stop Cocomon, who's kind of going on a little bit of a rampage. And TK and Kari, who are 2 of the Digi-destined from the show, happen to be in New York at the time and bump into this, and they're like, yo, this is crazy. Let us call up the Digi-destined from Japan and tell them, hey, come all the way to Colorado to meet this other Digi-destined. And they're like, we don't have the money, but then they just figure it out because one of them has an uncle or a million uncles that just can hook them up and get them to Colorado. They get to Colorado, they meet the guy on a truck of all places. They just happen to get on the same truck stowed away in the back, meet the guy, they find Cocomon, and then they stop him basically. But TK and Kari showed up. They tried to get there, but they got stopped on a train because Kokomon was trying to stop them, but then somehow they gained some power, and then they had to they mega digivolved their Digimon, which then allowed them to unleash the golden Digi Eggs, which then Willis and this other guy Davis did Golden Armor Energize, and they Golden Armor Digivolved their Digimon to the Mega level, and they took out Kokomon's Mega level Digivolve.
It's parabolic calculus.
See,
what is this?
It's so much more complicated than it needs to be.
Yes, and none of it makes sense because how come some of the Digimon are in physical form, physically in the world? Some are online. It doesn't make sense.
This I can explain. Real quick, I just want to say they end up defeating Kokomon, and they get it all together, and
of course,
they save the day. Okay, so Digimon. I watched the first 4 seasons of Digimon, so
wow,
I'd say I'm pretty in the know on this Digimon stuff. So, Digimon is a show that was a competitor to Pokemon that is about kids living in Japan who are at summer camp and then suddenly one day find themselves being transported to the digital world. And in the digital world, there are Digimon. And every Digimon's name ends with Mon. So you got Agumon, Gabumon, Patamon, other Mon. And they digivolve like how Pokemon evolve, but when they digivolve, they can go back down a level, So most of the time, Agumon, I'll use Agumon. He's a great example. He starts out as this little black ball in that first part that we watched. He starts out as a black ball, then he becomes Koromon, and then Koromon becomes Agumon, and Agumon is considered a rookie level Digimon. And then Agumon digivolves to Greymon, and Greymon is a champion level Digimon. And rookie, it's almost like Charmander straight to Charizard, like that, Agumon to Greymon. But then it goes further than that, because in the show they get these crests that each represent something different. It's like the crest of power, the crest of friendship, things like that, the crest of courage. And so Tai, he's like the main character of the original show. He gets the crest of courage, and he digivolves Greymon beyond the champion level to the ultimate level, and he becomes Metal Greymon, which is basically Greymon, but with guns and missiles and stuff on him, which is silly, but awesome. And then, but then there's a level beyond Ultimate called the Mega level, and that's when they're in the internet fight. Agumon and Gabumon go straight from the rookie level. They warp digivolve to the Mega level, and they become War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, which is the highest level that they can possibly go. But then they end up DNA digivolving together and combining, which was the first time that had ever happened. So as a 6-year-old child, that was what? And it was great. And
that didn't answer my question.
What was your question? Oh, okay. So in the show, they get stuck in the digital world, but then they figure out a way to get out of the digi world. They go home. It's this complicated thing that has to do with cards. It's actually really confusing thinking back on it, but they find a way to leave the digital world, and they come back home. And then when they come back home, they're not sure if their Digimon are going to come with them, but it turns out their Digimon do come with them, which they're stoked on. But then there's this Digimon named Myotismon, who is basically Dracula. He comes out of the digital world too, and then he basically takes over Tokyo. There's an opening scene where he sucks this woman's blood. I'm pretty sure she died. I was I am scarred. I am a 7-year-old child. I must have been 7 at that point. I don't know. 6, maybe I was still 6. But all of this to say, Digimon got pretty real at times, which was wild, especially with in this movie we watched, where the part where they were on the internet and stuff. It was if they didn't succeed, Japan was going to get nuked.
Yeah.
Which was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so sometimes sometimes the Digimon leave the digital world, and sometimes the Digimon are basically, it's like they're like people at that point. Like sometimes the kids are in the Digi world, sometimes the Digimon are out of and are in the real world. It's just another world where they're from, basically. So yeah. So in the second part, when Ty and Izzy are helping their Digimon take over this computer virus Digimon, this is like after the season is ended, like after they defeated Myotismon, they ended up going back into the Digi world, and then they like found out that things changed in the Digi world, and they had to take out like Piedmon, I think his name was. They took him out. They solved everything. The season ends. They leave the digital world, and then now they're just, living their lives regular, and the Digimon are in the digital world. But then, there's this whole threat happening, and they're like, all right, we got to stop it. So let's, look at the internet. And they're like staring at their computer screen. And I got to say, it is pretty charming to watch them like figure all of this out on like 2001 or, like screens from the 2000s, with the interfaces from the 2000s, which is basically just from the 90s because it was 2000. It was that year. So, it just seems so ridiculous in hindsight. But watching it as a kid, I was like, yeah, that is how the internet works. So,
goodness.
I gotta say the second part of this movie is probably my favorite part. Like that part's, to me, that part is like good. I could rewatch that. It flies by.
That part should have just been the movie.
Right.
There should not have been the first part or the last part.
Okay, so
wait, before you get into it, I did realize I did take notes during the movie.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, do tell.
So first, let me share my thoughts. I did not like this movie.
What? No way.
But I will say, like you just said, the second part, because they feel like three separate movies added together. The second part was my favorite because it had some of the most iconic lines ever. So I want to read a few of my favorite lines.
Oh, here we go.
The first one was, "Sometimes you gotta save the world even when you cause the problem." And I was like,
that was a good one.
I wrote, that was honestly the greatest line of all time. And I would love to go to the White House and literally speak at a podium and be like, sometimes we got to save the world even when we cause a problem. Because that's literally America's history. We caused every problem. We're still causing the problems. We got to save the world. Some absurd lines that I loved was, and these might not be verbatim, but they capture the essence. He's in elementary school and he's already taking classes at Colorado State. Referring to a kid
that is
who's
Willis.
So smart.
That is Willis.
He's already taking college courses in elementary school. And the last one was from the mom of the main character, who said, "Don't you want your beef jerky shakes?" And this woman was just making all kinds of terrible concoctions, and the main kid's friend was just like lapping it up, and it tore his stomach up in the middle of the battle. He was like, "I have to go to the bathroom." And the main kid's like, "I told you not to eat whatever my mom gave you." And I was like, this poor kid. Like, why did he take those? But yeah, I had so many questions. Like, I was like, none of these children's parents noticed the crazy mess going on outside, like the big Digimon battles that were like in the physical world. And then also, these kids look like they're like five years old. Well, at the beginning, beginning, he looked like he was like 5 years old. But even in the second part, he looks so young. I'm like, why are they so grown? Like, they're living like adults. Like, especially in the very beginning, he looks like he's 5 and he's like cooking breakfast and like making sure breakfast is ready for him and his sister. And like, it was so wild. I was like, I don't understand. But yeah, anyways, that's all my notes.
Okay, well, I would say every single critique and point of confusion that you have about this movie is extremely valid, because this movie only makes sense if you are a diehard Digimon fan. And why this gets so confusing is because like, okay, we've got this kid Willis in the third part, right? The third part really focuses on Willis, but then he's mentioned in the second part as like, oh, this kid in Colorado, right? But then in the first part, when it's like the first part of this movie takes place before the original show even takes place. It's like when Ty and Kari, his sister, have their first interaction with a Digimon, and in the voiceover, which is being done by Kari, it says like, we would later find out that we weren't the first people to like find a Digimon that day. Turns out Willis on the opposite side of the world in Colorado was getting his first Digimon too at the exact same time. So in reality, it's not a movie. I mean, it's a movie. It's sold as a movie, but it's just 3 different OVAs from Japan that they then localized and turned into a movie. So this Willis character, who's in the third part, in the original, he's just in that part. But when they localized it and they said, we're going to take these 3 things, we're going to stitch them together, and we're going to turn it into a movie, they shoehorned Willis in to the narration of the first part, and then you can see when Izzy's talking about like, oh, this kid Willis in Colorado. It's like the part where you see that they got an email from Willis, like it's literally like they just put a picture of the kid and they just slapped it on top of like the email profile picture, and then the dialogue, all they have to say is like, oh, this kid Willis, and it's like that wasn't even in the original. So that's why it's so like jarring and confusing, is because they took 3 completely different separate stories and then they tried to connect them artificially. That being said, with that impossible task, I think the localizers did a phenomenal job writing the dialogue and keeping it entertaining. Like to your point, watching this, I was surprised how many times I chuckled and was like, this is actually kind of funny at times. Like some of these lines I just remember verbatim in my head because they're just so like quirky and funny.
Oh yeah, the man kid was a hoot.
What, Ty?
I guess. Was
Sure.
that his name?
Sure. Yeah.
I thought he was very funny. He said like very funny things.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like this this subtle dry humor that they just like worked into the script that I'm sure wasn't there originally. So like that, I think they did a great job with just like I said, the impossible task that they were given. But yeah, that's why this whole thing is like so weird. And like knowing that, watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this really doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, why is Kari talking about Willis? Like from the
what you
get-go.
talking about, Willis?
Right. The third part of this is like the weakest part by far. Apparently that third part with Willis and the gang is not even considered canon. So it's like the first 2 parts actually are canon, which makes the first 2 parts actually like the first part's like just crazy because like you got these kids with this Digimon and it's like, you know, shooting fireballs, and she's like worried that it's gonna shoot a fireball at a bus full of innocent people, right? That part was like, ooh, that's kind of wild. And then the second part was like, oh, this is like a direct sequel, a 30-minute direct sequel movie from like the first season of the show, which that was really interesting. It like stitches season 1 and season 2 together pretty well. And then the third part literally takes place like after season 2 or midway through season 2, and it's just confusing. Anyway, all of that to say, I didn't expect you to like this.
Fair.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be a bit of a mess. But yeah, I will say the localization department did a great job, and they picked great music.
Yeah, it was very of the time.
Yeah.
It was like very popular music too.
Yeah. It was like The Impression That I Get, Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, All Star by Smash Mouth. They had that in there.
I know. I was like, Shrek is the only movie that can use that song.
They had 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. Yeah, they had some certified bangers in there, which just it just made it such a product of the time. Anyway, I do have a soft spot in my heart for Digimon just because I grew up with it. But yeah, this movie, not well rated. I'm looking at the critic scores right now. Let's see. We got New York Times says, comes off as noisy and ill-conceived, long on morphing monsters, short on storytelling talent, and uneven in its efforts at animation. Oof.
Fair.
Los Angeles Times, it's an awfully confusing journey unless you're of prodigious intelligence or a digimaniac or just 6. Which... At the time,
how do critics review? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but how do critics review children's movies without just like the bias of the fact that they are adults and it's just hard to watch children's stuff as an adult?
It's the fact that this was released in a theater. Somebody had to go write a review on it because it was released in a theater. So much stuff gets made for children now that is never going to see the light of day in a theater. But if Bluey has a movie in the theater, critics got to go write a review.
Didn't Paw Patrol have a movie in the theater?
Yeah. Okay. See, great. Yeah. But Trolls, Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
We can still write reviews on these things. Super Mario Brothers. That was marketed towards children.
Yeah, but you didn't like it because you're an adult. And I'm like, for a kid, this makes total... I understand why the kids love it.
Yeah, kids would absolutely love it. Yeah. This generation is growing up with the Super Mario Brothers movie, and they're going to love it. And for me, and that is of higher quality than, the Pokemon movies and the Digimon movie that I got when I was 6 years old.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting tired. But you're you had so much to critique about it, and I kept reminding you hey, this is for kids. This was not made for you. And I think you had a hard time getting past, because you grew up with Mario playing the games, you had a hard time getting past your connection to it. And I was like, but it's not for you. It's to bring in a new generation of kids who love that. And so I'm like, how do these critics objectively view a children's movie and not let the fact that they're just older and they're not going to understand fully what the children are seeing in it because they're older?
And I think there are some children's movies that are really well made and are kind of for everyone. I don't know, Shrek.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there are children's movies that are just designed to entertain a child. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean it's bad for the child to watch, but that does mean that the critic can only evaluate on what they are seeing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Trolls. I look at Trolls and I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, you love that narc line though.
I do like that narc line. The narc line's funny.
You chuckle in the theater every time we saw that. Yeah, I guess
because narc is an adult word.
I guess why do critics even review the children's movies?
Because it's in a theater. They have to.
Why?
They get paid to do that.
They get paid. That's their job. But I'm just saying, who's reading the reviews for a children's movies? Children's movie. The only reason why I would read a review about a child's movie is if I was concerned that there was something inappropriate in it, and I'm like, hey, let me just check. But I'm not.
That's why the reviews have to be written.
But I'm not. But I feel like that's different from. Reviewing that.
You may as well have fun talking crap on the movie while you're writing your review.
Yeah, but if it's a children's movie, I'm going in with the thought of I'm probably not going to enjoy it. It's not for me, but my kid will love it.
It's to help the parents decide oh, okay, is this a good children's movie to where I might actually be interested and would want to watch this with my kid? Or is this a movie that my kid is going to watch one time and forget about so I can send the nanny with them instead, and I don't need to be in the know on this movie because my kid's just going to forget it in 2 days.
Okay, well, that's a very, very specific situation. If my kid wants to see a movie,
very practical.
If my kid wants to see a movie, I want to see it with them, you know, because I want it's a moment for us to bond. It's a moment for us to have together. Not that it's bad to send somebody else to see the movies, because I totally get that as well. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not looking to see, okay, well, what kids movie will I might like, so that I can go to those and I just won't go to the other ones.
All I am trying to say is, like, yeah, if we had kids now when the Trolls movie came out, you know, this is like Trolls 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
If we had kids right now, you know, I would go see that. And I would kind of know, like, all right, at least there's, like, some production value here. But then, you know, you go ask my mom 24 years ago when her son is saying, I want to go see the Digimon movie. And you just watched it. You saw what it was. It was three, like, episode long stories stitched together in a kerfuddled mess.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can understand.
No, I understand why a parent like, would not want to go see it.
In my generation of, like, when I was 6 years old, there was much more crap being put in a theater. Nowadays, if something's going in the theater, not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I feel like, I don't know. I think because, like, when I was a kid, my grandparents, like, they always, anytime we came to visit, we got to choose a movie that we wanted to go see, and they would take us to go see that movie. And, like, it was just, like, our thing to do. It's like, oh, you're here. Like, what movie are we going to go see tonight? And so, yeah, I'm like, I feel like every person in my life when I was a child just saw the thing that I was seeing because I wanted to see it, you know?
I gotcha.
Yeah, and, like, that's my favorite thing. Honestly, what makes, even if the movie is absolute trash, what makes it so good is to see, like, hear the kids be so excited. Like, I think about...
So, like, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right, which was not a trash movie. Very great movie.
Great movie.
But, like, my favorite part of it wasn't Sonic. If I had just sat and watched Sonic by myself, I don't know that I would have been like, that's a wonderful... Like, I love that movie. But the best part of it was hearing the kids. I'm like, these kids are so stinking cute. They're, like, saying the lines out loud. They're repeating what he's saying. They're, like, cheering him on. Like, they're very audible. And it's, like, the best. It gives you the warmest feeling. You're like, they're so adorable.
Well, I gotta say, I loved Digimon the movie when it came out. I've seen it multiple times. I owned it on VHS, and I watched it multiple times.
Yeah.
I could even tell you right now, because this movie's only like an hour and 26 minutes.
Only it felt like 5 hours.
That's because it's like 3 movies in one. It feels so
I was like,
long.
It never ends.
It feels so long, but it's only an hour and 26 minutes. It's like the shortest movie you've ever seen. They even had like an Angela Anaconda tie-in thing. Like
what?
Before the movie, there's like a tie-in thing where Angela Anaconda and her friends go to see Digimon the movie at the theater because they're so stoked to go see Digimon the movie.
Oh my God, what a weird show that was.
It was.
Like, that's a testament of how bad this movie is. If Angela Anaconda was the opening.
I was low-key hoping that the version of it that we watched had the Angela Anaconda opening in it, but I was sorely disappointed to see that it did not. We watched this movie on archive.org. Like, you can't stream this movie anywhere. You just go to the Internet Archive database website and you can watch it there. Like, even the studio that owns it was like, we just put it up for free.
Yeah.
It's I think it's an interesting piece of entertainment business decisions being made.
Yeah.
To stitch these 3 things together. It's just an artifact of the time, and I think that is fascinating. That's probably my favorite thing of this.
Sorry, I had a big yawn. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, it's riddled with like all of the things of like, let's show them digivolving because that part's already in the show. The kids are gonna love it, and we can save on our animation budget by reusing these animations. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like, it kind of made me realize that Digimon is so simple, and then it's like, yes, they digivolve to different levels and become new Digimon, but they only use one move. It's like once that Digimon is that Digimon, like Agumon's just going to be spouting out pepper breath, and that's the only thing he knows how to do. And that's actually kind of boring. But whereas Pokemon, you got moves, you know different things. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
Cool. We should move on.
We should move on. All right. The Proud Family movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Proud Family 1.
Okay, so I should preface this by saying, like, I didn't watch a lot of Proud Family when I was a kid. I did watch some. I'm familiar with all of the characters.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch a ton.
Name all her friends.
You got Dijonay. You got La Cienega Boulevardes. You got the redhead girl. I don't know her name. Gretchen. Zoe, my bad. Gretchen is Recess. But they're basically the same character. And then you got Penny.
And who's the boy?
Slimy.
It's Sticky.
Sticky. That was pretty close. That was pretty close. Sticky. My bad. So the Proud Family movie, where do I even begin? So, the show is about Penny Proud, and their last name is Proud. She's got her dad, Oscar. She's got her mom, Trudy, and she's got 2 little twin baby siblings and her. I think, is that the whole
and
family?
Sugar Mama.
And Sugar Mama, which is her grandma.
Her siblings are BB and Cece.
Yes, BB and Cece. And then, Sugar Mama. Sugar Mama is probably the most iconic character of the whole show. I think they used her a lot in, like, Disney Channel, like, between show promo things. Like, they would just kind of stitch the characters together in this little, like, Disney Channel universe, and they use Sugar Mama a lot.
Sugar Mama's funny.
Yeah, she is funny. She's
like some of her scenes I will never forget.
She's probably my favorite character. So what's going on with the Proud family in this movie is that Oscar Proud, the dad, he has created this. His job is, I guess, he's like a food inventor or something, and he has invented this like formula that can replicate beans or something,
pork
like
nuts
that.
Or
pork
whatever
nuts.
he was
yes,
creating.
not beans, nuts, pork nuts, and he goes to present it to like the Nut Society of America or something, and there just so happens to be this like evil genius guy who is trying to create sentient nuts, going to present at the Nut Society of America at the same time, like this, like right before him. And this guy's like, I'm trying to create sentient nuts. Sorry, it's confusing. And the Nut Society of America says, dumb idea, bye. But then he sees that Oscar has this like replication formula, and he's like, oh my god, I could replicate all of my sentient nuts and take over the world. So he hatches this whole plan. He goes to their house because he owns an island, right? Of course he does, because he's evil and he knows science. So he's got to have an island. So he goes to their house and he says, hey, you just won an island vacation getaway. And they're like, OMG, we got to go. Meanwhile, Penny is trying to become a backup dancer for 15 Cent, not 50 Cent, 15 Cent, who is like a local rapper and also Sticky's cousin. And so, and she's trying to have a little romance with 15 Cent as well.
The way I used to love when 15 Cent would be like, ponytails. He's like, I like you, ponytails.
So she's like not even really trying to go on this family vacation, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Because she's trying to be a backup dancer, but everybody's excited to go on the vacation. So they go.
She's just really she's also, I just want to throw in this context, she's really upset at her dad because like her dad just like doesn't want her to grow up, and obviously it's like about to be her 16th birthday.
That's right.
And so like she's birthday. Like, I'm not a baby anymore. Like I should be able to do the things that I want. And like, I like this boy. I want to like hang out with him. And like Oscar's like, nope. You can't do any of it. In fact, he was like, your 16th birthday's canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he caught her smooching on 15 Cent in his car, which the windows were really fogged up. So
Yeah, I don't know what they were implying there.
What were they doing in that car?
They were just kissing. It's a children's show.
Anyway, so they go on this vacation, and yeah, Penny doesn't want to be there, and basically, how do I say this? Because the evil genius guy is trying to create sentient nuts, there's actually like a whole society of sentient nut people living on the island, and it's as weird as it sounds. It makes no sense. It's these little nut people, and they all got names and distinct personalities, and I couldn't follow like who was who. And
there's only two important ones.
There's like, okay, yeah, they're it's weird though. It's weird.
Yeah.
And so there's and they don't even like bat an eye at the just sentient nut people. And I don't know. I think Penny. Basically, what happens is the bad guy clones the whole family, and then Penny ends up getting switched with her clone.
Well, before that, the reason why he cloned the family is because he asked Oscar for that secret formula, and there's another nut who is like trying to warn the family the whole time of like, run, don't stay here, you gotta go, this dude's bad. And he had warned Oscar, hey, he's gonna ask you for this thing, don't give it to him. So Oscar's like refusing to give him the thing. He's like, oh, I don't have it on me, like I don't have it with me. So that's why the bad guy clones the family so that they can go back to the Proud family's home and try and find where this secret formula is.
Thank you for saving me from having to explain that myself. Yes. Yes, that. Yeah. So the family is going, the cloned family is going off island, but Penny gets mixed up with her clone. So Penny herself goes off island back home with the fake family, and Penny's clone is stuck on the island with the real family. And the fake family doesn't know how to act, so
it's kind of like a Us situation.
Yeah, it's a bit of an
Jordan
Us
Peele
situation.
stole this from the Proud family.
Right. So, for example, Oscar's clone dad is just being like a very chill dad to Penny because he's asking her questions. Like, she's like, "Oh, Dad, can I go to this thing?" And he's like, "Would that further our mission or something?" And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, here's $50, you know. And he's being super chill. And then Trudy, the mom, like her
she's so funny. Me and my friend quote her from this movie to this day. She like Penny. Oh, sorry, can I explain it for you?
Go. Yeah.
Okay.
Please do. Save me from this one.
So Penny like said something to her on the boat before they were going to the house mom. To the clone mom. But like, you know, it was like teenage slang. And so the mom was like, "What? I don't understand what you mean." And then she was like, "It's like, you know, it's the way we talk." So so the clone mom decided to listen to a tape that was teenage slang. And she fully took this. Think about like in the Scooby-Doo live action when they were like the like, what do you call them? The possessed kids.
The kids got brainwashed and they started talking all like
yo.
Like,
yeah, like that.
Word, brah.
So that's basically what she did. But so she was like, "Where's the secret formula?" Like, it's like the way she says things is just ridiculous. But it was great.
Yo, what up, Shotty? Where the secret formula at? Yeah, it's something. And then Sugar Mama is just speaking Spanish, and yeah.
Which, like, I don't understand that. They didn't like give a reason why she was speaking.
We're watching the Proud Family movie. It does not matter. We do not need a reason.
Yeah, they just did it because Poppy always talks to her in Spanish.
Gotcha.
And so, they're like, what if we make her speak Spanish? Then she understands Poppy finally.
I guess Poppy is the neighbor that
she's in love with.
Oh, no, she's in love with him.
She's in love with Poppy, and Poppy just insults her, but she doesn't know that he's insulting her because she doesn't speak Spanish. So that's why in this movie, it's like, oh, now she speaks Spanish. And then like she ends up like, he insults her, and she's like, I freaking heard that.
Gotcha. Okay. That's nice added context. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I do not remember how this movie ends. There's a dance off sequence. I do remember that. The family needs to have a lot. The family needs to have a dance off with some peanut people.
It's not even the family. It's Penny and her friends.
Oh my God. Penny and her friends have a dance off with the peanut people, and the family gets like stuck in a cage, and they gotta free him. There's like,
you've skipped some details.
There's so much.
I know. Basically, what happens is at some point Penny finds out that her family, because she's like, my family's acting super weird, and at some point the dad, the clone Penny, who's back on the island, calls the dad on his watch and is like, the real Penny is with you. You need to get back here. Like, you have the secret formula. It's in Penny's necklace. So bring her back here. So he is trying to catch her. She realizes that her family is a clone family, because the main Peanut, who was on the island, also kind of like hitchhiked with them, like got on the boat with them and didn't tell them. And he's like, oh yeah, this guy who's been on the island with your family, he's bad and he's trying to do these bad things. And so she's like, what the heck, we need to go back, we need to save my family. She brings her friends, and that's when they have a dance off, because that's how the Peanut people battle is through dance.
Right. They're like, we don't know how to fight, we dance.
Yeah, it's a step up moment.
Yeah.
Step up the streets, step up the island. And so they dance, they win the battle, they make it to the family. The family's in cages, and they're like, Penny, save us. But then the clone family is after her and the rest of the family. And then Penny talks to the dad, the clone dad, and is like, think about the good times we had. Like, think about how wonderful it was. You love hot dogs, because that was Oscar's, the clones thing.
Oh, that's dogs. That's right. Yeah, clone Oscar ends up turning a new leaf and becoming a good guy.
Yeah, and so clone Oscar decides to help Penny and the family be safe, and they get rescued. And then the bad guy was on his way to basically kind of like a Super Bowl event that Wizard Kelly hosts, but it's not Super Bowl, it's not football. And so Penny gets on his blimp and puts this like elixir into the thing where all his like peanut army is, into the blimp where his whole peanut army was sitting. Because remember, he was going to drop these like peanut army onto the Super Bowl.
That's right. And the peanut army was literally inside
the blimp. Yeah. And so she puts the elixir in it. It melts them into peanut butter. It explodes. Peanut butter gets on everybody at the Super Bowl. And then the family...
There was also a really big fish that helped her get there as well.
Yeah, because they eventually... So it turns out that this bad guy is actually a clone of a good guy who's the same guy, but the original version. And he explains to the family in the movie that like, oh yeah, that's my clone. He like turned evil because of X, Y, and Z. I was like doing all these experiments. That's why this fish thing exists and all that kind of stuff. So it all gets reconciled.
Well, I gotta say, I'm glad we did both of these assignments in the same week, because I mean it was rough, honestly.
It was. I was like, we should just cancel.
Like, we should just skip this week. Yeah. It was rough. Yeah, but
we did it.
We did it, and it would have been tough, I think, for me to watch this movie. Like, if we'd done Hard Boiled and Proud Family movie, would have been rough. And if we had done Digimon and some movie that you gave, also would have been rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Proud Family movie, not my favorite thing ever.
That's fair. Upon rewatch, I was like, oh, this wasn't as great as I remember.
I mean, that's how I felt about Digimon. I will say I enjoyed watching you light up watching it.
Yeah.
Seeing you be entertained by like the dance battle. I mean, the dance battle was fun.
Because it's so funny. It's so iconic.
But like even just describing everything that happened in this movie just now. I mean, while I was watching it, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then just describing it, I'm like, peanut people, what are we talking about?
But you gotta admit, the music was on point.
I don't remember the music.
Oh my gosh, that song was like, my name is Carver, y'all. Just call me Dr. C. Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Nope. Don't remember that.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fair. So, okay. Movies based on cartoon shows that were literally like, when we were kids, we were the target market for.
Yeah.
And we were probably never meant to watch more than once, but had pretty decent scripts and music.
Yeah. Yep.
Word.
Cool.
And do you have any facts on this movie?
No. Nothing.
You have none.
Nope.
Okay.
All I have to say is the Proud Family was so influential in my life as a young black girl. I resonated with Penny. I feel like Penny's family is exactly like my family. Like I felt like this, I have never, of all the content I've ever engaged with, Proud Family still to me is the like most accurate representation of my family. Like her family, my family. It feels like such a close match. So I always really enjoyed the Proud Family. It brought me a lot of joy. There are some problematic things with Proud Family. Like Proud Family was not perfect. I did a whole report on black girl cartoons, and the pros and cons of the ones that we have, what very little that we have. And yeah, Proud Family has its problematic moments, but still a fantastic show and like ahead of its time in my opinion. The fact that there were like Black History episodes, you were getting your Black History on freaking Disney Channel. It was the only thing that was talking about Black History on Disney Channel.
I respect that. I respect all of that.
Yeah, like it was just so, it had some iconic guest like voices. It was just so good.
Yeah, and I remember when they did a remake show on Disney Plus recently. I caught part of it, and it was like CeeLo Green was doing a cameo in it as like a panda.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it.
I remember seeing that. I remember because the panda started singing a song, and I was like, "Hey, why is this song so good?"
Yeah, I mean, freaking Solange did the theme music for the Proud Family.
The original?
Yeah.
Wow.
It might have been Solange and Beyonce. Family. I think it was just Solange though.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely a big deal at the time. I do recognize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All we had was this and That's So Raven.
And I watched a bit of both. I watched more That's So Raven than I did Proud Family though.
Oh my gosh, That's So Raven is the best. Holds up to this day.
Yeah, no,
phenomenal.
I thoroughly enjoyed That So Raven.
Yep. So yeah. Anyways, we got to pack. We have early morning. Let's wrap this up.
We gotta be up in like 7 hours.
So yeah. So assignments.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to give you a movie called Dogma, and that is all I'm going to say. I don't want to tell you anything about it. I just want to turn it on and have you watch it and see what you think.
Can I ask if it's a serious movie?
No, I don't even want to tell you that.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you something that I saw is recently up now streaming. It has it has my absolute favorite Paul Rudd scene ever to exist.
Oh.
I think it's his best comedic acting yet.
Okay, this sounds perfect.
And that is the movie Wanderlust. The movie is not great. But that scene, fantastic.
Okay. I know the movie. Not crazy on it. But all right.
But you have to see this iconic Paul Rudd scene.
This works for me. Mm-hmm. All right, so next week it'll be Wanderlust and Dogma. Look forward to that. I think that'll be a good matching. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that'll work.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you then.
Yep.
Have a great week. And hopefully this wasn't too rough to listen to. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.